Every marketer knows the frustration of campaigns that do not convert. Every salesperson grapples with cold leads that honestly never warm up. Every creator feels the literal sting of content that falls flat, causing them to fall into the abysmal of disappointment. And every business literally watch potential customers slip away. These struggles are all too familiar, ones that even I know everyone faces. But the quest for the perfect tool or the perfect strategy or the perfect combination of content and systems and applications and platforms is never ending. It is literally a never ending story. But imagine transforming your marketing, resurrecting your sales, and driving your growth efforts tenfold without changing your strategy, your tools, your creation style, your platforms, or whatever. And I'm sure you're probably thinking, this is not real. I'm going to give you the secret, and it is literally one word. It is not about doing more. It's actually about doing less. It's literally about the words you choose. The answers to all of your problems, to all of your struggles, to obtaining your growth, the solutions, the audience, the appeal, the attention, and the clients that you want, all depends on the right copy. Yes, I said it, the right copy. The right copy in your headlines, your thumbnails, your messaging, responses, and scripts can connect deeply with your audience and literally move mountains. Powerful yet compelling copy isn't just an accessory to your marketing efforts. It's the engine that drives them, turning potential into performance and engagement into exponential growth. More to-dos, less time. More to-dos, less time. And an infinite number of tools to keep track of. Doing business has never felt harder, more complicated, more exhausting than it's ever been. But you don't need a miracle to hit your goals. You just need HubSpot. Because their all-on-one customer platform can make growing your business infinitely easier. Imagine this: high-quality leads, fast closing deals, wildly happy customers, and more benchmark-breaking quarters. No, my friends, it's not a miracle. It is HubSpot. Convert your dream into reality and vision into actualization and marketing into money. Visit HubSpot.com to get started today. I'm a big proponent of psychology, consumer behavior, behavior science, sociology, all the things of the mind. All of the intensives and incentives and initiatives that we engage in, we pull on, we drive, we poke at to connect, to engage, to drive attention, to align purpose, reasoning, and alignment. And I find during my time of running a global marketing agency where our focus was on thought leadership, specifically on LinkedIn, and driving content that would not only bring attention and searchability and awareness, but drive interest. That drove conversations, that drove conversions, that drove revenue, that drove quarterly and annual end-to-end success. All because the right copy presented at the right time with the right story, the right messaging, the right undertones, the right spacing, maybe even emojis, all aligned to capture those audiences in their feels, in their minds, in their hearts, to engage, to follow, to nurture them through the pipeline to the end result. And having done that for a multitude of SaaS brands and startups and people in tech and B2B, you put all that together, though maybe the product is different, though maybe the tone of the person or the brand is different, maybe the industry or sector is different, the fundamentals are honestly globally the same. In short, people will buy because they want to do one of a few things. The number one thing, make money. Close second, save money. And the third thing, which I always say is the most expensive commodity that you have, save time. Now from that, you have also gain praise, gain attention, gain comfort, escape literal pain or agony or struggle, feel more connected, feel more loved, increase in their popularity and their social status, among a plethora of other things. But those are kind of the universal top things people buy from you. We go all the way back to the OG episodes. I always say, are you the chocolate cake or are you the Tylenol? Are you a pain reliever or are you a joy provider? Is what you're saying sweet to them, or is what you're saying tough love to them to get them up to do what they need to do? And by using your product or your service or your deliverable is going to help them do that. Or remove that pain, remove that sting so they can experience joy, freedom, and all those things. And I say this all the time, leverage the right language to launch. If you don't use the right language when speaking to certain audiences and people, they will never hear, they can't understand, meaning they will never have a chance of converting. The most common problem that I experience when I talk to potential clients is that what they're saying about their brand doesn't translate in the mind of the potential buyer. There is a massive disconnect, which in most cases is not about how it was distributed. It's not about the range. It's really about what was said. Your copy, the copy that you create, that you identify and define your brand, your business entity, the mission, the vision, the purpose, the why, down to your audience archetypes, down to your value props, internally and externally, is what's going to bloom from a seedling to a massive oak tree. And if your copy is off, everything else is off. Your copy sets the tone. Your copy commands attention, or it doesn't command attention. Your copy is the reason you listen to anything, you watch anything. This headline for this podcast episode might have convinced you to listen to this episode. This copy that was put within the SEO, the description, may have helped in the discovery pool for you to listen to this episode. The copy that I used to post on LinkedIn or X/Twitter or Instagram or whatever to drive people to listen to this episode mattered. It convinced, it conveyed, it connected to compel you to do an action of what I would deem a conversion, which is you listening to this podcast.
What's up, digital world? You're listening to the I Digress audio experience with Troy Sandidge. Social media, marketing, storytelling, business, culture, and more. Coming to you in 3, 2, 1.
This is why copy is so important and shouldn't be just lackadaisical in the prep and the process, just as you would in a kitchen. You prep what you're going to serve. You have a plan for that. It doesn't matter how good the chef is. If he's working with poorly accumulated items, the food won't be good. I don't care how amazing the stove is. I don't care how expensive his utensils are. If the literal core ingredients are expired or are low quality, the best he can create is something that will ultimately be low quality, which will mean a bad experience to the end user, being the one that is ordering the food to eat. So if we reverse the pyramid, start with copy. If something isn't converting, if something isn't working, if something isn't landing, start with the copy. Are you an aspiring entrepreneur or business-savvy individual ready to take matters into your own hands? Imagine starting a new venture with low startup costs, entering a growing market, and having the opportunity to shape your own future. Picture that you're at the helm of a successful delivery business, partnering with one of the world's most prominent companies, Amazon, through their Amazon Delivery Service program. They are searching for hands-on leaders with grit and determination, people who are ready to hire, coach, and motivate a top-notch team of delivery associates. Maybe people like you. And here's the thing, you don't need logistics experience. You'll gain access to exclusive deals, services, training, business coaching, and state-of-the-art technology. As you launch and grow your business, you'll have the support of Amazon's team at every step. So, are you ready to build the future of delivery and embark on a rewarding journey with the Amazon Delivery Service Partner Program? Learn more and apply right now by going to amazon.com/radio. That's amazon.com/radio. And you can also click on the link in the show notes as well. Take the first step toward a brighter future today. Unlike many shows and leaders in the content marketing space that breaks this down a million and one ways, we're still talking about it because people still aren't doing it. So I'm going to talk about the high-end level of how copy drives into growth and why it matters. I think, for starters, people need to spend more time defining their why and expounding on why your why matters to other people. What is the problem you're trying to solve for? And why are you doing it? I had a client call recently. This company had a big vision, huge vision, and they were so confident about what they're doing and building and the offer that matters. And with one question, we sat in silence for about 5 to 6 minutes because no one knew what to say. They were so focused and convinced on what they were bringing to market. And I said, why does this product need to exist to the defined audience they suggested? And they immediately went to ratting off stats and numbers and percentages. And I stopped them in their tracks. I said, no, just get to the point. Why the heck does this product, this offering, this solution needs to exist in a marketplace that's overwhelmed by something very similar in the first place? And then we sat there in silence. And I don't know about you, we are so impatient now as a society that after about 5 seconds, we get unhinged because we're used to constant activity and constant stimuli. And I think the best copy comes from reducing that stimuli and simplifying, how would this make sense to a 10-year-old? How would I explain this to them and convince them to see the way that I see about what I'm trying to give? You know, the youth of today are some of the hardest critics, but also some of the realest, unbiased scholars. They're not jaded by persuasion. They're not influenced by trying not to hurt your feelings. They're going to give it to you straight and keep it 100 in the best way that they know how. And so most times, the copy that you need to get started, to build the foundation of what you're trying to do and grow, is going to be by not talking, but engaging in active listening and having conversations, not even talking about what you're offering, maybe just surveying the range of how the problem you're trying to solve is impacting and affecting other people. Because most people know, do not put all your eggs in one basket. If you create a archetype that doesn't have that many branches, you're limiting your opportunity. And if you're not hitting that dead on the nose, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to reach anybody. You're not going to make any sort of impact. Digital marketers, this one's for you. I've got 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for agencies and enterprises. So here are a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less when you manage projects on Wix Studio. Work in sync with your team on one canvas. Reuse templates, widgets, and sections across sites. Create a client kit for seamless handovers and leverage best-in-class SEO defaults across all your Wix sites. Looks like time's up, but the list keeps going. Step into Wix Studio to see more. Visit wix.com/studio today. I use this example all the time. When I first started I Digress, I was leaning in the mindset of a creative artist and not a creative designer. I wanted the titles to be so unique and different. They weren't searchable. They weren't easily understandable. And they didn't compel anyone to really listen. Once I shift from the artistic mind to the designer mind with the intent of modifying the copy to compel someone to listen, target a specific audience or people, or play on words, or trigger an emotion, or trigger interest or curiosity, or rage, whatever emotion I need to do to get the listeners up, right? things changed. Things were different. I've told the story in previous episodes about how I changed my business name from Fine Troy Marketing Solutions to Strategy Hackers, and how that shift, with no website, with no social platforms, or nothing else established but the name, I immediately was able to get clients and have more conversations than I ever had within the long span of time that Fine Troy Marketing Solutions was incorporated. And I've talked about this. It's not just in the website. It's in the name. It's in how you articulate. It's in your bio. It's in the product description. It's in your mission and your values. It's in your social copy. It's in your videos. Don't mindlessly speak without having clear intentions of what my foundation of copy and messaging is going to be beforehand. Doing things haphazardly or doing things blind do not help people see the light and doesn't drive people to want to know more. Have done does not create a whole pie. You really need to put in the efforts in the beginning and nurture and define what your copy needs to look like and sound like and be like. I'm a big proponent of Jim Edwards, and I love his book, Copywriting Secrets. And he quotes Eugene Schwartz, where it says, "Copy is not written. Copy is assembled. You do not write copy. You assemble it. You are working with a series of building blocks. You are putting the building blocks together. And then you are putting them in certain structures. You are building a little city of desire for your person to come and live in." And this ties perfectly into when I talk about creating your own social universe, your community of connections, and these nodes from previous episodes. The copy is what's going to attract and compel someone to join those nodes and identify even other people that, hey, you should hear about this. You should know this. You should watch this. You should use this product or service. So the copy that you're putting down is going to become an oak tree, which is going to branch off into a multitude of ways to compel people in your defined archetype and beyond to work with you, to hire you, to use your product or service, to watch your content, consume your content, and ultimately drive up the value stock of what you're doing, of what you're building, of who you're serving, to the level where you can garnish money, garnish increased revenue, partnerships, collaborations, acquisition if you want to. The sky's the limit. But it starts with your copy. When someone says, "Well, Troy, what in the world does iDigress mean? And why did you start the podcast?" Well, I'm a multi-potentialite that has a lot of ideas running through my head. I didn't want the podcast limited to one thing within the big umbrella of marketing because I wouldn't range. And as someone who has been a T-shaped marketer, for those who remember that episode, which I also discovered I'm really a U-shaped marketer. If you don't know what that means, go check it out in previous episodes of iDigress. And I discovered that if you give someone more range, I can be of bigger value. If I'm so niche down, all I'm going to be able to talk about is one thing. And I don't know about y'all, but doing that for over 100 plus episodes, it can get ultimately exhausting. Talking on the same thing without range. So I also picked iDigress because I'm a person that goes on long tangents. But it all makes sense at the end, but I need to get back to the point. Long way of saying this is why the podcast was created with the name and the format that it has. The time restraints at the time allowed me to force myself to drive value within these parameters that I felt the math was in my favor. This is how far someone may listen to the podcast. As my podcast evolved and grew and I got more opportunities and collaborations and sponsors and got feedback and surveyed from my audience pool, I discovered I can expand the time. I can incorporate other things to give this podcast more depth than it's ever had before. But it still comes back to the copy. I want to be unique, but still under the parameters that make sense to the whole, especially those who want to listen. And in the same way, you want to be unique with your copy, but not too unique where it shuns people away who don't want to have interest and curiosity in what you're offering and what you're serving. One thing to think about when it comes to copy, people do not buy because of features. Features are how people compare things. People buy the benefits. What are they going to get as a result of that feature? Apple does this very well. Ooh, look, we have X amount of space in this file to store all these things. Or you can simply say 1,000 songs stored in the palm of your hand. very famous marketing campaign that is quoted all the time, where they focus more on the benefits and less on the features. The features of this podcast, you could say this, or you can say, learn an entire marketing strategy in under 30 minutes. Get an on-demand marketing consultant for free. If you go through my podcast library, there's an episode on something that's going to help guide you where you need to go. Lean on the benefits, less on the features. A tip from someone who does a lot of talking. If you find yourself talking too much, you've already missed the point. And you probably went too deep into the features category and not enough in the business category. Features have sub-bullets and paragraphs. Benefits end in a period or exclamation point. It's simple. It's to the point. Boom, 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 boom. Think of things in bullet points. Boom, boom, boom. Instead of long-winded expose of features and additional things that honestly won't matter, especially at the beginning phase when you're just trying to compel people to get curious. Mistakes That Made Me, hosted by Iman Ishmael, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Mistakes That Made Me is the podcast that asks extraordinary business owners to share their biggest business mistakes, so you know what not to do on your road to success. Join Iman as she chats with some of the smartest minds in business about how to push through failure, adversity, and challenges and accept it as an important and necessary part of building a prominent business. Because as it turns out, your biggest business mistakes often lead to your biggest lessons that then convert into your biggest blessings. Listen to Mistakes That Made Me wherever you get your podcasts. The other thing is people want to get a preview. They want a slight sneak peek into the depth. If you lead with the depth and they don't have a context of how long is this going to be, what are the 3 or 5 takeaways, why would this matter to me, what am I going to experience? Now, people are trying to do that in real time and they have no gauge of value, timeline, why, or clear aligned benefits to them when they're starting, which means that's probably why you're getting drop off in your video or your audio content. Maybe you're getting a massive bounce rate with your website. Maybe that's not why you're getting a lot of engagement and comments in your social content, because you're not doing this in an organized way of giving a preview, a snippet, a sneak peek into the mind, into the presentation, into the experience of what you're going to provide or show or tell. And so we have to lean in on that. I have found in a lot of things that I have done over my 15 years in marketing, in a lot of different roles, even when it came down to emails or in-person conversations, especially around conflict. The words you choose make all the difference in the mind of the one receiving to align with where you're trying to go and to get them to see where you're trying to be, the big vision, the big picture. Most people suck at writing and talking, which means your delivery is not going to be as good to where it probably should be to compel, to convert, to connect. We have to improve our communication, which the foundation of that is our literal language. The words we choose to write, the words we choose to say, the words we select to display matters so much. If we go back to the example with the chef, if our ingredients is expired or of low quality, there is no chance that even with the best technology and the best chef, so again, we're going to mirror this. If your copy is crap, it doesn't matter if you have the best technology, the best distribution platforms, the best marketing and sales people, the best influencers to drive the things. If the copy is crap, you don't have a chance. It's not going to be as good. Or you're going to miss out on so much more because the copy could have been greater, which could have had a bigger impact and influence to reach a wider audience and a deeper depth to compel more and more people to garnish that attention, to convert that into opportunities for conversions and money. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings here, but most people's copy needs work. And copy is an ongoing optimizing thing. As we learn and audit, we need to adapt and modify the foundation of our copy and expand on that. If you've been saying the same thing about your product for 6 months and you haven't seen any boost in growth, it's probably your copy. Well, Troy, I've done a lot of outbound and cold outreach, and we're converting at 0.02% to have a follow-up message that never drives a conversation. No one books a time to talk with us. They don't want to do a demo. They don't want to engage. They don't want to even get a peek under the hood. Nothing. Yeah, maybe your product needs some work, but I've found the right copy can compel a lot of people to buy something that hasn't even been created yet. How many people buy off a vision of something on Kickstarter? The product isn't even manufactured yet. They see a vision and a video and a process and previews and the features and the benefits and case studies and use cases and testimonials, maybe. But that's all pre. They show a prototype. They show, here's an example. Here's what we think will happen when you use this, when you buy this course, this product, this utility. And it's not even done. Pre-sale on books. The book isn't even out yet, but the copy is so compelling. And the foundation of that copy over time builds a brand stability to a point where you don't have to say anything about it no more. The copy you have developed for so long to build that brand affinity has such a stronghold on people. Oh, that's coming out, a new video coming out for that creator, a new podcast episode coming out for that podcaster, that author's writing another book. Oh, they're going to speak on another stage, they're creating another event, they're doing a live stream thing, they're launching a new product, service line, whatever the case might be. I'm going to buy it before it's even done. That probably also have bugs and other things, and that's going to have beta and updates and things like that, but people don't care. The copy was so strong, people gave their money before even seeing and testing out the product. You may be thinking you can't do that for your own brand, but I beg to differ that you can. You probably haven't done enough time talking with strangers about the thing that you're trying to sell, build, offer, show, myself included. I had an eye-opening experience recently. And I realized the reason I wasn't getting anywhere. I've been saying the same narrative to myself. I know when people think back to my episode about my 6 eyes, and I talk about introspection. Yeah, we're going to go there. The copy, which is the language, which is the words that you say internally within yourself, to define yourself, to define your brand, to define your audience, to define your situation, holds weight, which creates a false reality that can then become a real reality because everything in your being is being manifested by the words that you're saying out loud to then say, hey, this is why you're here. And now you're stuck in a perpetual state of why can't I break through? It's the words that we tell ourselves. It's the words that we're telling our team. It's the words that create the emotions that we're, unbeknownst to us even, searching for and finding those connecting nodes as, I can't break out of this thing. I can't reach past 10,000 a month, or I can't achieve 100,000 a year, or I can't achieve that 1 million I'm trying to get to, or that 10 million I'm trying to get to. It's not just about the words that you choose to describe externally. It's also the words you use to describe internally. Make sure that you believe what you say. Make sure that the cause, the why, it's so strong that when struggles are happening, when you don't hit that quarter, when a client doesn't sign, when your views are lackluster, you hold on to that and lean on that because that's what's going to get you through as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as a leader, the case might be. I think marketers, we have to wear a lot of hats, as we all know. But I think sometimes we use that to our disadvantage because we use that as an excuse. I don't want to learn sales because I'm marketing. But if I learn the copy that helps sales through my nurturing, through marketing, it's going to make me a better marketer and bring more value as a marketer for sales to do their job to close the net, what traces back to me, brings me job security and make sure that my marketing is at its peak performance level. Now, I've actually done an episode on marketing versus sales and all of that, so go check that out. That's not for this moment. But what I'm saying is that with the copy that we choose to use matters. And if we aren't the best copywriters and content marketers, we're at a disadvantage. Doesn't matter how beautifully shot the video was done. If the storyboard and the copy used and the talent or description or voiceover that was administered through that video, it won't convert. You might have gained my attention, but I might have lost interest, or I might have been focusing on the wrong thing and not the very thing that's going to get me to buy. Most small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, you suck at writing copy. You suck at describing yourself. You suck at describing your why. And that is what's killing your business. Fast and or slowly, or both simultaneously. Tough love from Troy. To combat that, let's improve our copy. Let's study what words do our audiences use that line into the problem category. And what do they hope to gain in the solution category? What we may have grown up in a certain generation to use to define certain things may not be the same thing or translate in the same context for another generation. What we may be defining clear as day as solution providers may not translate in the same way to those who are seeking solutions. Which comes back down to most people don't do enough market research, or their market research is flawed, or narrow-minded, or too much of a niche of an archetype that limits the opportunity to redefine, modify, and expand how should we write our copy that makes sense. Or after a certain period of time, come back and say, is our tone right? Is our language right? Is our messaging right? Is our delivery right? Do we need to expand, simplify, modify? All of these things. It matters. It may seem boring, but an actor or an actress can be so good in their delivery. But if the words from the script aren't compelling, there's a little bit of a mismatch. But when you join great talent who are quoting and speaking and singing or sharing on stages and performing with the right script, they can have range to do what they need to do to compel people to enjoy the show. And I want everyone to enjoy the show that is your product, your service, your offer, or your literal show. It's not just in the performance of garnishing the attention. The copy goes with them all the way through the entire process, from awareness to interest and curiosity, to nurturing, to conversations, to being convinced, to being ready to buy, and even after buying, being compelled to tell other people to buy, being converted into an advocate, an extension of your marketing sales to get more business, more opportunities, more views. The same thing that people have to do when they study Mr. Beast or they study top YouTube creators. Headlines matter. Thumbnails matter. The words in those thumbnails matter. The words within the description matter. Just to get people to get attention. We're not even talking about the experience throughout the process to expand the watch time. And that translates in the same way for events, for marketing and nurturing, for sales conversations. The copy that you use matters so much and is probably the pivotal thing, the very nucleus between you adding 3 more zeros or losing it all because your copy wasn't up to par. When you're trying to drive investors, do a sales pitch, do a marketing campaign, the copy you use and the headline that they see or that they hear, that the experience sets the tone, followed by the next round of copy to convince or acknowledge the problem or enhance the solution or personify this is something that a lot of people want or need to create the desire or intent to then continue on to the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. And by the end of the video, by the end of the copy of the post or by the end of the email or the course or whatever the case might be, that middle ground, the medium, you're pushing that CTA, did it do enough to convert? To convey enough for them to say yes, to want to see more, to buy, right then, right there, no hesitation, and then tell other people about it. Most people have great ideas, but they suck at articulating that idea to the masses. And the difference between those who can are the unicorns of the world, the thought leaders of the world, the very people that we think of in your space of top-notch businesses or leaders, and then those who don't. The ones you don't know about, the ones that never made it, the ones that no one's ever heard of because their copy sucked. So let's not do that. Let's embrace the fundamentals of copy. And if you would like me to explore this into a theme series of episodes, y'all know what to do. Tag me at Find Troy that you enjoyed this episode. Drop me a review. Send me some details on what you would like for me to explore. I do have a ton of episodes on content marketing already. And if you go to idigress.fm and go to the search bar and just type in content, you'll probably see a lot of episodes come up already that I've gone into depth of content marketing. But I can always explore more regarding how copy can connect and resonate and drive intent to drive conversions. How do you describe your business and your startup or your small to medium-sized business? How do we talk about our go-to market strategy and initiatives? How do we expand on our MVP? How do we lean in on employee advocacy? How do we engage community? How do we build community through copy? Without that, our marketing is not going to be as good. Our sales is not going to be as good, which means ultimately our business will not perform as good. And if that happens for a long period of time, we're not going to be in business. We're going to be out of business. All because the fundamentals of the very building blocks that we use to convert our marketing and fortify our sales and define our archetypes is wrong or mediocre. The copy matters. And if you embrace that, you will be in a really good shape moving things forward. So thank you for listening. Remember, go check out your copy. When's the last time you checked out your website? When's the last time you were the one on the back end of your email series? Would you buy from the product that you sell? Have you gone through an ad experience with someone? Have you shown a complete stranger your website, your product, your idea, and got feedback of what they heard and understood your product, your service, your offering to do? Oh, but my archetype is this, my archetype is that. They'll never understand. Maybe. But ultimately, it's not about that. What stands out? And many times our initial archetype may be desensitized to the very things that scream out that would be the most obvious to human consumption. So consider those things moving forward when you're trying to launch a new product, service, offering, or even down to, Troy, what am I going to name this video? Or even me, what am I going to name this podcast episode? Hopefully the copy that I choose is converts because you're here, but ultimately copy matters. Make sure that you're embracing copy in the right way in order to compel people to do what you need them to do and desire the most.
And that's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Digress. What was your takeaway? Care to share your thoughts and tag Troy on social media? You can find him on all platforms at Find Troy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review or comment for this episode from wherever you're listening. Looking for a marketing strategist to build the structure, strategies, and systems you need to get the success you want and the ROI you desire in your business? Book a discovery call to talk with Troy at findtroy.com. And as Troy's philosophy goes, imagination is the engine, content is the fuel, social media is the highway, marketing is the roadmap, sales is the destination, culture is the GPS. Thanks for listening.